Hello my friends and welcome back to a new video. Today I want to go through all my want to read books because recently I have an app on my phone where I save all the books that I want to read, and I go along, and whenever I see something I like, I just put it in there so I don't forget. And there's so many at this point, I think, yeah, about 80. And it's time to look over them and get an overview of what I have there. And I thought, okay, I'll just take you guys with me. So I have my laptop here and I'm going to go over all my want to read books, so like my wish list books. This list, it's not really 80 books because a lot of the ones that are on here are already on my bookshelf. I just have not read them yet. So I will keep them out of the ranking. I'm just going to talk about the books that I don't have yet, that I have here on my list. But yeah, I have to go through it to just get an idea of what I have here. So I hope you enjoy it. I don't know if it's interesting to watch, but let's see. You'll see a lot of books. All right, so I'm going to the very bottom here, and one of the first books I have here is Little Women, which is obviously a classic. I'm sure a lot of you have heard it, by Alcott Louise May. I think I've read this book before many years ago, but I can't remember that much. I know it's about sisters and their relationship and yeah, just their stories. So I want to reread it. I think I remember I liked it a lot. So to refresh my memory, to yeah, get some classical fiction in and not just read contemporary, this is on my list here. The next one I have on here is The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. It is a thriller, and I remember it is similar to A Girl on the Train. We have this time two passengers in an airport, and a man and a woman, and they talk about their lives, and at some point the conversation takes a turn where they talk about dark topics and jokingly say, oh, how about we get rid of this yeah, person in our lives that we don't really like. And I'm guessing the joke turns reality or something happens. So yeah, it's a thriller. Next few here, I have most of them on my bookshelf, so let me scroll up. Here's one book. It's called Herkunft by Sasha Stanisic. It is a German book, and so I have it on here because I've heard many good things about it. It's essentially about an immigrant talking about their experience coming to Germany and how it's like, yeah, where do you feel at home really? If you have come from another place, had to leave because, you know, it wasn't safe there anymore, and you come somewhere else. So I think it's a really cool topic, and it has, yeah, a lot to do with what's currently happening. We have a lot of immigrants still. There's war, you know, in a lot of places. So definitely want to read that one. Then I have here Notes on an Execution by Dania Kukavka. This book I've seen on a lot of YouTube videos from last year as like it was a lot of people's favorite book. I had it on here actually for a while. So it's essentially about somebody who is on death row and is about to get killed, and it's about this person's experience in these last hours of their lives, and it's told through different women in their lives that come to visit, like family members and yeah, other people. Next up is Magpie by Elizabeth Day. It is a thriller. I think it's about not being able to have a child. Let me look real quick. This happens when the list gets too long and when things have been on here for a long time. Let me see real quick. Okay, so I didn't remember very well what it was about, but now after reading this, I know definitely why I put it on the list. It's a thriller about a couple that has an apartment, and they have somebody else move in to help pay with the rent and yeah, help them with the bills. And this other person is a woman who doesn't have very many boundaries and is very overbearing and becomes obsessed with them. So that's that one. The next two are two historical fiction novels. One of them is Hour of the Witch by Chris Boa-Jalian, and the other one is Yellow Wife by Sadika Johnson. And so Hour of the Witch is basically about the time of the Puritans when they came to the US, and is about the fate of a woman that lived at that time, and you can tell probably was accused to be a witch. The other one is about slavery again. I've read Yonder, the book about slavery, last month, and I was so fascinated. I want to read more about this time. It's this sad time in history. So Yellow Wife is about slavery. For the Wolf by Hannah Witten. This is another fairy tale retelling. I have a few fairy tale retellings on my bookshelf. This one is about Red Riding Hood and the wolf. So I don't know, I'm fascinated by fairy tales, and I love thrillers, and so dark fairy tale retellings combine two things that I love, and so it is on my wish list. The End of Man by Christina Sweeney Baird is on here. I think it's like a dystopia, what would happen if there were no more men on Earth. We have Animal Farm by George Orwell, another classic, which I know most of you have probably at least read in high school or something, but since I didn't go to high school here, I didn't really have it on my curriculum, so I have to catch up with some of the classics, the US classics. So Animal Farm is on here. I have a couple of Agatha Christie ones on this list, and here's one of the first ones. It's Five Little Pigs. It's a Hercule Poirot mystery. I love Hercule Poirot, so this is on here. I'm going a little faster because it's a lot of books, and I don't want to make this video too long, so I apologize. But we're up at number 20 right now, so I've skipped the ones that I already have on my bookshelf. So number 20 is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. So another classic. I know there's a Alfred Hitchcock movie about this book, and yeah, I just love thrillers, and then classical thrillers. I mean, can't go wrong with that. I can't wait. The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury was a book that was recommended to me by a family friend, and she loves fantasy books and science fiction books, and that's a genre I don't read as much, but she said, okay, if you want to read some, I would recommend this book. So I have it on my list here. It's about, you know, life on Mars, if we would go to Mars. I have here Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert. This is a non-fiction book, and it's about inspiration and creativity and how you get inspiration and all this good stuff. I've heard many good things about it, and I love the cover, so at some point I might get to it. Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This is a fantasy novel. And it's about a group of people that possess magic, I think, and this magic is taken away by the villain in the story, and so it's their fight to regain their powers and their rights. Next up is a book that I have really high expectations for, and I mean, I obviously have high expectations for all these books. This is my wish list, my want to read list, but somehow this one in particular grabs my attention. It's The Happiest Man on Earth by Eddie Jaku. And it's a non-fiction book about Eddie Jaku and his life. He used to live in Germany, he was Jewish, and so during World War II, he was captured, was put into concentration camps, and he survived them. And so after that, he made the vow to himself that he would smile every day of his life because he went through such a hard time. So I'm sure it's a very moving book, and I'm excited for it. I went to a bookstore once to see if they had it. They didn't have it, but when I see it, I'll definitely buy this. Another book that's taking place during the World War, so it's a historical fiction, is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. And I know this is kind of a classic already too. It's a World War story, and books play a large role because, you know, in the World War, Nazis burned particular books, and so it's about somebody who is trying to save these books. The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I will be honest with you, I'm not sure exactly what it is about, but I know it's also a kind of modern classic and people love it. So I have it on my list to broaden my education when it comes to fiction. but I have to reread again what it is about exactly. But a lot of people love it. Another book, another classic is 1984 by George Orwell. We have that. And then is The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. This is a thriller, and as you can tell from the title, it's about children, and it's about in particular a family that adopts a child, and this child may not be what they think it is, he or she is, when they adopt him or her. I don't know if it's a boy or girl. Turns out to be more like a nightmare than the dream come true. So we have that. Stephen King. Stephen King is another author that appears on my list a couple of times, and this book is The Bag of Bones. I have it on here because I went on vacation in Maine last summer and the summer before, and I was in the area where Stephen King lives, where he has his main house, or I'm sure he has multiple houses, but where there's one of his houses. And somebody told me that this book is essentially taking place in that area. It's not really said by the way the landscape is described and everything. You can picture it. And so I was really enticed. I want to read it because I want to associate whatever I read with what I experienced during my travels. So that I think will be very cool. Let's see. We have Dead Poets Society by N.H. Kleinbaum. Not saying too much about that. I think it's also pretty known and almost a modern classic. We have Reluctant Immortals by Gwendolyn Kista. I think this is a horror novel, and it takes classic characters like Dracula, and it talks about women in their lives. So it's about, for example, the wife of Dracula. And yeah, a very unique description. I don't know, it just caught me, so it's on here. Number 36 is The Mermaid by Christina Henry. I just finished Lost Boy. It's a dark fairy tale retelling, and so is The Mermaid, so a dark fairy tale retelling of The Little Mermaid. Loved Lost Boy, so this is definitely on here. We have Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. This book was very popular just in the last year. It's been all over. I have The Double Blind by Chris Bourjalian. This was recommended to me by another family friend. I have The Great Gatsby by Scott Fitzgerald. Obviously also a book that everybody should read who loves books, and I've never watched the movie, so it's on here. Let's see, most of these I have on my bookshelf. Number 44 is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellers. Heard good things, and to be honest, this book caught my attention even before I heard the good things, just because I love that title. I don't know why it caught my attention, so we have it here. I have a couple of Kristen Hanna novels next. Kristen Hanna is an author that I just discovered at the beginning of this year, and I went insane, and I literally bought a bunch of her books and put a bunch of her books on my wish list. So I have a lot of them here that I still need to read, but there are some more by her on my wish list, and they are Homefront, Night Road, and Winter Garden. Winter Garden, by the way, is the author's favorite. So I went to a reading with her and I made a video about it. She said that that was her favorite book, so it had to be on here. But yeah, I'll first read the ones that are on my bookshelf, so you probably won't see these in the near future. Bewilderment by Richard Powers. It's a novel about a dad raising his son, so it's about single parenting, and the son has a lot of problems and is a troubled child, so it's a lot about their story and how he tries to keep his son safe. I have another classic here, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Casey. I have another historical fiction, The White Queen by Philippa Gregory. I've read one book by Philippa Gregory and I wasn't blown away by it, but I did learn a lot about history in her book. So I put it on here because I'm just interested in the history of the Tudors and the Plantagenet time in Britain. I hope I pronounced this correctly. But yeah, so it's for me like to see about the time period. She did a very good job. I said there would be more Stephen King, so here is Misery on here. It's a classical Stephen King about a writer who his biggest fan is his nurse who becomes obsessed with him. So sounds fantastic. So we're up to number 54, and it's Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. It's a story about children that are taken away from their parents and put into an orphanage. So yeah, the novel talks about this experience and how it's like to be separated from your loved ones. Okay, and let's see, the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books. The next 8 books I have here are all books that I put on here when I was going through all the YouTube, my favorite reads of the year 2022 this January. So I love just the yearly wrap-up videos where everybody talks about their favorite books. And these 8 were the ones that I pulled out of watching all these videos and put on my wish list. So I'm going through them very quickly. So first of all, there is Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. There is The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. There is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu. The Mindfuck series by S.T. Abbey. So all these books are on here. Some of them are horror, some of them are thrillers, some of them are novels. And yeah, I just put them on here because the reviews were fantastic and I've seen many other YouTubers rave about them. So that's why they're on here. But let's continue. We are up to number 65, and 65 is Honor by Thrity Umrigar. It is a book that takes place in India, and we see a lot about the Indian culture and yeah, how it is like to marry between 2 different cultures and the difficulties that could bring with it. So I just want to learn more about Indian culture. I'm very fascinated by it, so that's that. Next up is a book that most know because of the movie. It's by Margaret Mitchell, Gone with the Wind. I know my mother loved this movie, so I have never watched it. I have to catch up. I have 2 more classics or modern classics here. Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut and The Underground Railroad. This is actually hard to say. Railroad. Okay, I got it. The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. So I think most of you also know what these are about, so I don't think I need to say too much about these. I see here Sing Unburied Sing by Jasmine Ward, and I have no idea at the top of my head what it's about. Let me take a quick look. Alright, so it is a family drama that takes place in Mississippi, and we have a very broken family because we have a mother with 2 children, but she's a drug addict and also goes to prison, so she's not really able to take care of her children. But there are the 2 grandparents and they take her in, but take the kids in, but the grandparents also have troubles of their own because grandma has cancer, and so grandpa has to take care of everything. And then, yeah, eventually the mother who has the problem with drug addiction and everything decides to take her kids and leave Mississippi. And so we follow their story, I guess, how life is, the dangers and threats that they encounter, and the promises too. So we see if they become eventually a happy family or not. So sounds very cool, and I should know. I feel embarrassed that I don't know the story of all of these books, but sometimes, you know, I just read something and I think, oh, this is so cool. I just hit save and that's it. So apologies for that. Let's see what's next. Next are a few thrillers. The Lies I Tell by Julie Clark, and then also The Girl Who Played with Fire by Stieg Larsson and The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest by Stieg Larsson. I read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and I love the book. So it's the first book in this Millennium series, that's what it's called. And so The Girl Who Played with Fire is the next one, and The Hornet's Nest one is the 3rd one in the series. And I want to know how the story continued. I loved the first book, so I can't wait. I don't read very many series, to be honest. Most of the books that I read are standalone, so this is very cool, a new experience for me. Let's see what's next. So next up is Wish You Were Here by Jodi Picoult, and the book deals about a lot of what we all experienced over the last few years. So it has a lot of similarities to COVID because it's about a couple that's separated during that time when there's a virus shutting down the entire world. So that will be very interesting. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more books coming out that deal with COVID going forward. But this one I've seen and it has high ratings, so looking forward. I said Stephen King would appear on here again, and so here are two more Stephen Kings. We have The Shining and Dr. Sleep. And I remember exactly why I put these together on here. It's because The Shining and Dr. Sleep are technically a series. So Shining is the first one and Dr. Sleep is the second one. And Stephen King has written them really far apart. So the first one, The Shining, is like a classic Stephen King, and you see all the classic elements that his book had, while Dr. Sleep is really a modern book, and you know, he changed his writing style a little, so you get the best of both worlds. You get a series where you see his old style and the new one combined. So I think this will be very cool to read and to just analyze. And yeah, let's see, we are basically at the top. I have one more book here. If you're still there, thanks for hanging in. I hope this was interesting just to get an idea. The last one is another Agatha Christie. It's The Body in the Library. And yeah, this is a good point to end, I guess. I'm not sure exactly how many there were because a lot of them I have on my bookshelf, as I said, but I'll count and I'll put the number in here. So those are all the books on my wish list, on my want to read list. Let me know how many you have on your list. It's a never-ending thing and it's always growing. So we'll see up to what point this will get. But for now, this is plenty to show. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. As I said, I wish you all the best. Stay safe, stay healthy, and till next time, bye-bye.